very good afternoon and welcome to ChildLink's discussion session where we discuss a number of social issues. I am Tiana Jordan and it's an honor to be your host this afternoon. I am ChildLink's Advocacy and Communications Officer. This afternoon, our discussion falls under our Communities Responding in Emergencies project, which is funded by the Delegation of the European Union here in Guyana. And this afternoon, we'll be looking at a very important topic, and that is stress and mental well-being in young adults, an issue that affects all young people. And we have on our panel three beautiful young ladies. I'm going to give them the opportunity now to introduce themselves. Good afternoon, ladies. How are you doing this afternoon?
Good afternoon. Great.
Yes, we can start with you to introduce yourself. Tell us a bit about you.
Hello, I'm Ackila Smith. I'm an advocate for the Guyana Council of Organization for Persons with Disability and also a teacher.
Thank you very much. What about you?
Hi, good evening. My name is Ronicia Niles, and I'm a 21-year-old final year Bachelor's of Psychology student at the University of Guyana.
That's so nice. Congrats.
Thank you.
Hi, my name is Gopaul. I currently serve as the president of the Youth Action Network of the U.S. Embassy. The Youth Action Network serves as the youth council for the U.S. Embassy here in Guyana. I'm also a former youth parliament, and I am an advocate for all things youth.
Thank you very much for your wonderful introductions. I really do look forward to our discussion this afternoon. I know it's going to be a very fruitful discussion, and hearing all of your perspectives will definitely be an eye-opener this afternoon, looking at stress and mental well-being in young adults. And let's get right into it. So I want to hear, each of you, your perspectives on, how you would describe the term stress. We can start with Ellen.
Stress is any feeling of worry, anxiety, tension. As young people, oftentimes we feel a lot of stress. And when people think of stress, they think of worries and a lot of things on their plate and table. And stress can come in many forms. For me, the things that I feel the most stressed about as a young adult and a young person is trying to balance all of my priorities with work and school and my activism. And for me, that could place a lot of stress on me if I don't find good coping mechanisms. So yes.
And what about you, Ronicia?
Stress is the imbalance between the demands made on us and the available resources that we have to cope with those demands. And most times that occurs in situations that we can't manage or we don't have control of.
And Ackila?
For me, stress, as Ellie said, it's when you worry. When the anxiety is there, when your body is not feeling the way it should feel as per normal. And that for me is stress. For me, balancing my work, my advocacy, everything in terms of what I do from a day-to-day basis, it tells me a lot. So for real, stress is that.
Yes, I think, all three of you put it very well, the term stress. And we can maybe look at, what causes stress now, because, a lot of persons out there, they might be feeling stressed and they don't really know what is the cause of that. They can't figure it out. So, Ackila, can you just tell us, some of the things that cause stress?
So, as a young adult, I think one factor for stress for me is academics. A lot of us, we're studying, whether UG, CPC, or your master's, whatever you're doing. Academic stress is one that plays a really toll on your body, especially when you're trying to meet the deadlines. I know you guys can attest to that. So academic stress is one that many youths faces every day.
I think financial worries are a common factor that contributes to high stress levels in young adults, because majority of young adults are less financially secure than older individuals. So the stress of coping with the economic demands and not having an adequate income causes the increase in stress levels.
Thank you very much. I like that you touched on financial. What about you, Ellen?
I think different people experience stress in various ways. And even though we're focusing on young people, as young people, I don't think there's one specific type of stressor that we experience. As Ackila and the others would have mentioned, we have varying factors: economics, studies, and sometimes it could be family problems, friendship problems, relationship problems. Sometimes It's worrying about the future, not knowing that uncertainty of the future, not knowing what the future holds for you as a young person. Sometimes you don't have enough guidance and mentorship to aid you in making decisions. That could stress you out. Sometimes not having a job. I could go on and on. There are a lot of negative things to think about what stresses us out as young people. But you know what? I'm here for the positives. Talk about how can we cope with these stressors.
Yes, definitely. And what signs should young adults also look for? Maybe if they're going through some pressure in academics and so on, what signs can tell that, oh, my academics is stressing me out? Ellen?
I was once at a Guyana event and we were coordinating as per usual, and I noticed my hair was thinning a lot. My hair is actually thinning a lot, and by manner of joke I said to my colleagues, "Look, you guys are stressing me out. All of my hair is falling off of my head." But that's a joke. But some persons, they're really and truly, if they're stressing out a lot, especially females, their hair tends to fall a lot and they can experience baldness.
Yes, that's true.
And
I can relate to that.
You can relate to that, yes. So that's one way stress affects you. Also, it can change your appetite. Sometimes you don't feel as eating as much. Sometimes you overeat. You eat way too much, and then people try to criticize you for your weight. Oh, you're so underweight. You're so overweight. But they don't know that you're being stressed out. They don't know what you're dealing with. And these are some of the ways stress can take a toll on us.
I would like to add, eating too much, but then you can eat a little. Because that's a big thing. When you stress a lot, some person tend to, not eat. You have only having one meal a day when you're supposed to have three, or not a snack in between. Also, your sleep. I know all of us here can attest to that. The sleep schedule don't be the same. When you see that your sleep schedule is not the same, you're sleeping at 12 o'clock in the night. I know my friend here can tell me, UG, you're up late trying to get that deadline, 11:59,
Right.
and you're trying to put in that extra minute sleep. You're not getting enough sleep. You're telling your body weight either fluctuate. Sometimes if you're a very thin bone person, you get more thin bone, or you put on a little bit more weight. So all of these things, as Ellen said as well, it tends to show physically, especially. And we can talk about the mental part of it as well, anxiety, depression. So stress really be doing a lot to the human body.
Ronicia, would you like to add anything?
Yeah, I think another symptom of stress can be you're unable to concentrate on something for an adequate amount of time, and also you find it hard to make decisions. And going back to physical symptoms, as Ackila would have mentioned, you can experience headaches, neck pains, and mental symptoms. You find yourself being easily irritable. You're frustrated all the time. You have a low energy. You have low moods. So all of those things can show us when we're experiencing high stress levels.
Yes, and I'm sure, persons watching this discussion this
can
afternoon
relate,
and listening
yeah,
to this
definitely.
can relate. Maybe not even, maybe some older folks also, and not just young people, because
True.
stress is something that we all go through. Coming down now to some coping strategies, what can young adults do, or what can they implement to, help them cope with stress? Ellen?
So when we're stressed out, we experience all of these symptoms, right? And there are probably more symptoms out there that we haven't touched on. So if you're not experiencing any of these, but you are having other symptoms, we are not invalidating any of those. There are many symptoms out there. But one of the things we have to try to do to cope with stress is try to remain grounded. And when I say grounded, I mean take time to meditate, take time to focus on the positives, think of good thoughts. If you're having a cup of tea or a cup of coffee, try to be mindful in the moment. Try to feel the cup. Experience the cup as though this is the first time you're actually drinking that tea, feeling that cup. Feel the warmth of the cup, the temperature. These are some mindfulness ways. And if you're not into that, there's yoga, there are other mindfulness practices. For me, what really helps with me is I go on YouTube sometimes at night, like Ackila was mentioning, if you're having difficulty sleeping, and I type in relaxing thunderstorms to sleep.
Yes, I love
And
that.
I just listen to that and I fall asleep to it. And it soothes you. It's really calming and relaxing, right? So you don't have to try these traditional methods. You could and you should, but there are other innovative ways, like the YouTube one. My friends told me about that and I absolutely loved it.
Yes, and if someone is actually doing that, and a family member may think that it's weird, and watching you and is hearing you talk about it, now they will know. Oh,
It's
someone
not
else is doing.
weird. It's not.
You can have a
Get
team.
earphones and I think it's weird.
No, I know persons out there, may think that it's weird or probably haven't heard about it before, and hearing us talk about these things now, they will definitely go and try it.
Tiana, the first time I tried it, a family member said to me, "Ellen, seriously?" I said, "Yes, seriously. I need to sleep, and I'm finding coping ways, and this helps me. So if it helps you, try it and embrace it."
Yes, definitely. What about you, Ronicia?
I think keeping a daily routine can help us with managing stress, because that would encourage us to manage our time efficiently, and we would feel more in control of our day. Also, having a consistent sleep schedule, eating healthy, exercising regularly. I also think something that can limit stress is limiting the amount of time we consume news and social media, because while they have their positive effects, they also have negative effects that can lead to increased stress levels.
Yeah, and I think as young people too, sometimes we get caught up in social media,
Right.
caught up in scrolling
Yep.
TikTok, and we
For
don't even
hours.
realize it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, for me, I'm like Ellen. I have a playlist with the raindrops, the rain. That really helps me. Just having that calmness. And also, I'm a 90 girl. I love a lot of 90s music. So I put on my nice little Van Ross. And the other music, and I just dance around. I like Whitney Houston a lot. So I be at 12 o'clock in the night listening to Whitney. And no, I'm not heartbroken. I'm just trying to have a time to relax and sing. And also for me, I have a very, a lot of young people, they have these things. They might have a little teddy bear, that comfort pillow. You hug it up and you just sleep. You just hug it up. That's for me. That works for me. And I know a lot of persons have their own thing. You may find it a little quirky, but listen, if that helps you, that helps you. And we try to get a lot to de-stress. We don't want to be stressing our head out. We shouldn't have that. Because if that going to the next day, it's problem. And we don't want to take over problem from today to tomorrow.
That's
So
right.
I think
Tiana, I also want to say that one of the most effective ways to cope with stress is to talk to somebody.
Yeah.
And that
Yes.
should not be underscored. Talking to someone, a trusted friend, a family member, a mentor, talking about your feeling helps. Even talking to a therapist, right? And even those persons, even though you're talking about your feelings, the benefit is they could also help you come up with solutions to your
Correct.
problems.
Yes, I was just gonna touch on this and ask you about these support systems or individuals that persons can turn to when they're feeling overwhelmed, when their stress gets too overwhelmed. Would you like to touch on some of those?
I think you should have a support system, no matter what. Even if it's two persons, a friend, a cousin, if it's your mom, your dad, aunt, you should have someone you should be able to rely on, to go to speak about something when it's bothering you, because holding in all of that pain or that stress, it really tells on you. So I think it's important having people around you that you can go to and talk about whatever that is. And don't be afraid. Like, you don't know, that person might be able to help you with something. And even if you don't want to talk about it, I find journaling a lot. And then you call up a professional. There's so many professionals out there that will give you their time to talk to. So talk to your mom. If you don't want to talk to mommy, call your girlfriend, call the boyfriend, call anybody who you trust. That you can be able and not just calling. Make sure that person is a reliable individual that you can get positive, information from. You don't call just to go on and on. You call that individual. Okay, call Ellen. I can get some good information. She can help me. So it's all about the positive.
Call me.
And yes, I will. It's all about the positive information you're gonna get back in that moment. So yes, I support having a support system.
Yes.
In agreement with Ackila, having persons that have a strong support system, I think that they are more resilient when stressful situations come their way. Because a strong support system, I think it kind of improves your outlook on everything. It even boosts your mood. And with what Ellen said, talking to a trained mental health professional is also a great way to go because they can help you with identifying what is contributing to these stressors and finding healthy coping mechanisms. So, yeah, talking with a trained mental health professional, and I know that a stigma is attached to talking to a mental health professional, especially in Guyana, but and there's also this idea that goes around that if you can't deal with your own problem, you're weak. But actually, talking with a mental health professional shows a sense of strength. You being vulnerable and talking with them shows a sense of strength, and it helps you significantly. It's really worth it. So if the viewers who are watching and you are experiencing high levels of stress and you're not able to manage it, and you don't have a strong support system, reaching out to a mental health professional is the way to go.
I really like that you're stressing on the importance of seeking professional help, because a lot of persons out there they don't know the importance of seeking
Really.
professional help, because sometimes they may not want to go to a family member, they may not want to go to a friend, and it's not that they don't trust those individuals, but maybe sometimes you need someone else to go and hear a different point of view or so
True.
on. So knowing why seeking professional help is important, would you like to stress more on this?
Life can be really difficult, but it's also important for us as young people and even the older folks who are watching. Life can also be really beautiful, and you don't have to do it all alone. The societal pressures and all of the other external pressures don't allow it to get into you, don't allow it to overwhelm you. You are not alone, and you shouldn't be alone. And we would have mentioned the people who we can turn to. For me, I have a lot of mentors who I can go to when I'm stressed and I need advice, and I also have a really good support system of friends that I also can turn to. But sometimes the bigger question is, who does someone go to if they aren't as fortunate as us, if their parents and families are not as receptive, if they don't have friends and they haven't found mentors, or they haven't even thought of getting mentors, who do they turn to? And a good starting point for those persons would be volunteering. I've met a lot of volunteers, and I'm very active within the volunteering sphere. And when you speak to a lot of them and you ask them, what prompted you to volunteer? Their response usually is, I was in a really difficult and dark place, and I wanted to give of my time. And when I found this group of people who were so into volunteering, I cultivated a family within them. So a good starting point to find a support system is also through volunteering.
Yes, and Ackila, you're also an advocate, so can you just share some of your experiences?
For me, as Elia said, getting into that space, and you reach other persons that not I don't want to say smarter than you, but they're more experienced. They know they have the resources. They know what it is because they went here before. They were young like me. So having those mentors, I know for me, I have a lot of mentors as well that I can talk to for anything, whether finance, academics, anything, societal pressure, I can talk to them. And volunteering really, really, really helps you. And I'm a product from volunteering, and to young people, as I would really like to go back to Ellen, get into that space. There's so many NGOs out there. There's so many organizations. Getting into that space is not hard. It's simple. Are you interested? Do you want to do this? Okay, I'm available. I'll make that time. So getting the chance to, connect with other young people like yourself, and you'll be surprised how many of them, would love to hear from you. So I really urge young people like myself, to come on board. There's so many Facebook pages that you can reach out to. And Ellie mentioned her youth group. There's so many that you can reach out to and just connect and have a conversation and just talk. Because, as I said, if you don't ask for help, you won't get it. And that's the truth about it. If you don't speak, we can't hear you. So that'll be it for me.
Yes, thank you very much. And I wanted to stress a bit more on the importance of managing sleep, because sleep I know we touched on this in a couple of ways, that can help you sleep, listening to rain songs and so on. But are there any other thing you can think about, that can help young people sleep? Because even for persons, like for me, for example, while going to UG, the staying up late. And so when I got so accustomed to it that
Yes.
now that, I don't have anything to do in the evenings, it's still a bit difficult for me to sleep early, even though I want to sleep early. So maybe we can go through some more ways, persons can maybe adopt some things that they can adopt to help them sleep, or what they need to stop doing, to help them sleep. Yes. Ronicia?
I think a main one can be to avoid caffeine before going to bed, because caffeine increases alertness and reduces sleep. So I read once that it's recommended to stop caffeine consumption 6 hours before your bedtime, because it increases your alertness too much and you won't be able to sleep. Also, I think that you should associate your bed with sleeping only. If you don't want to sleep, you shouldn't go on your bed. Condition your bed with sleeping. If you want to do another activity, if you want to just scroll on your phone, go out in the living room or the dining room or out in the yard, but don't do it on your bed. Because if you do that on your bed might be associated with restlessness, and that can affect your sleep schedule.
Maybe I need to take this advice.
Yeah, they're like speaking to me. I'll take the laptop, the tablet, and the phone.
Yeah.
I'll try to work on that.
It's something we're so accustomed to.
Yeah.
Yeah,
like,
it's hard to break out of,
It's
but
hard.
it's worth it.
And the
Yeah.
caffeine, 6 hours. I'll try
Forget
to.
about that trip to Starbucks.
Yes.
Ideally, we should be having 8 hours of sleep. Ideally, now there's some studies out there that I've read in the past that sometimes women need more sleep than men, and all of that. I can't remember all of the technicalities, but ideally, we need at least 8 hours of sleep. Now, realistically, do we get 8 hours of sleep? Not quite, because we have priorities.
So many things. to
And
do
sleep
now.
should be a priority, though. But sometimes there are things that compete for sleep, such as school, work. Sometimes there are young adults who have children and families to take care of that got married really young. So those are things they have to think about. But what you should want to do to help get better sleep is try to develop a sleep routine. So every night you're going to bed at 10 p.m. and you're maybe going to wake up at 6 a.m. or maybe 9 p.m. Whatever works for you. Your schedule, you have to take your schedule into consideration, but try to develop a sleep routine. And she was talking about not sleeping, not doing other activities in your bed, but this goes for like many other things. If you consistently do an activity in one place, your mind associates that space with that activity. So try to take your room and your space and your bed as your resting place. And if that doesn't work well for you, because I don't think that will work well for me, what you can also try to do to sleep better is try not to scroll too much on your phone before you head to bed, right? So try to take away some of that blue light activity, and maybe you might see an increased sleep.
It has to do a lot with consistency and discipline.
Yeah,
Because if
really.
you want to sleep a specific time at say 9 p.m. And you still on your phone after 9 p.m., something is wrong here.
Yeah.
So yes,
I think, okay, say for instance, you can't do it every night, but try your best to put it in at least, 4 times throughout the week. Try to sleep at a certain time. And what I will love, sometimes you can do, if okay, some persons love to watch your TVs at night. You go on Facebook, you scroll to see, young people, they want TikTok now. And TikTok is very addictive. I'm guilty of that because I be looking at other things. So I think what you can do as well is, I don't know if it's recommended, but if you talk to a doctor who will give you certain, pills or medication that can help you, because some persons really do have sleeping issues.
That's
And
right.
if you realize that it is consistent, you definitely should go to the doctor and check it out, because 1-2 nights you go to bed late, but how often is this thing repeating itself? And if you realize that is the case, I think the doctor is the best person you can go to and talk to them, and they can provide you with more information on what to take and what not to do. So as much as we can help you here with that piece of information, if this is something consistent and you can't help it, seek professional help. So yeah, that'll be it for me.
Yes, and let's go to self care now because a lot of us might be so busy that we don't take the time to maybe sit and read a simple book. If not reading a book, enjoy something that we like. Students, especially maybe UG students, they might be so caught up in studying and passing an exam that they don't take a break and find time to just self-care. So let's touch on the importance of this and maybe some activities that they can do just to take a break, relax, and so on. Ellen?
Self-care is really important, okay? Though before you take care of anything else, all the other priorities, school, work, volunteering, all of your family, whatever it is you need to take care of, you need to take care of yourself first. You cannot pour from an empty cup. And the more you pour into yourself, the more you will have to pour into others. And if you take better care of yourself, you will see a drastic improvement across all other areas of your life. And sometimes we neglect that. We tend to forget that. We think, oh, if I pour more into work, I pour more into family, I pour more into study and business, then that will in turn pour into me. But while that could help, it works best if you focus on yourself first, and then those will trickle over into your other daily activities and other life activities and goals. So showering regularly, remembering to eat, not just eating, but eating healthy, eating on time, taking some time to go to the salon and groom yourself, go to the spa, relax, get a massage. If you can't afford a massage, get a family member to give you a massage. Listen to music, find some time to relax. I have some friends and they usually say to me, Ellen on Saturdays or Ellen on Sundays, I'm not available to volunteer. I can't do it. I can't make it because this day is for me. So on this day, I take myself to DQ or to Brewster's or some ice cream outlet and I just sit and I eat ice cream because I love eating ice cream and that makes me feel good and that makes me relax. So whatever makes you feel good, whatever makes you relax, remember to do it and remember to prioritize yourself.
And I think a lot of persons feel guilty prioritizing themselves, especially if they have families to take care of, They would feel guilty putting themselves first, so because they're so accustomed to taking care of everybody else. What about you, Ackila?
I'm a big advocate. I'm going to the salon and doing your nails as well, As women, I think when you look good, you feel good. And no one can disagree with me on that. I think as especially mothers, you pour so much into the family, taking care of the husband, the children. I think sometimes you should take, for yourself, book that appointment, go to the salon, you sit down in that chair, and you let somebody take care of you, put your hands in your head, play with your feet, your hands. Just do that. And also, I'm big on going to yoga. Also, just taking walks, in the afternoon, take a walk on the seawall. I know the First Lady, she did such a great job at the bandstand. Taking a walk there, go buy a few plantain chips. Eating. I love to eat. I love to eat. So you can catch me at Giftland very often. I go there, to take that time to de-stress and to get my favorite thing to eat. But I cannot have ice cream. I'm lactose, but I definitely go and, take a few drinks, some fruit juice, some food. Those things help you, finding things that you love. If it's going shopping, I know a lot of persons, you want to spend your money out. But then again, you put aside a little money at the end of the month when you get paid. And you go do a little shopping, to go down Regent Street.
Yeah.
Those things help. You buy a lovely bag and you listen,
You feel so nice afterwards.
on Monday I'm wearing this to work and I know I'm gonna feel good because this bag matching my shoes. Those things help us, and as for the men, I know a lot of men, they work so much, Go to the gym, reach up with the brothers, the boys, go play a little basketball. So I think finding things that you love, it don't need to be things that we listed here, but whatever makes you happy and that helps you to calm yourself down, you should definitely go do it.
Ronicia.
Self-care is indeed vital to our overall well-being, but I think that the social media blogs, the television shows, the magazines, they put out the concept of self-care as me time and treat yourself time. And I think that those are self-care strategies that stem from a self-care routine. For some reason, I just think that self-care is this more holistic something that should affect every aspect of your life positively. Self-reflection. I think that is a great form of self-care, but you don't see that being glorified as much as the me time activities and pampering yourselves, analyzing yourself, looking inside and seeing what changes you want to make and what changes needs to be made, and proactively working towards them. That's self-care in my opinion, and also agreeing with the young ladies. I think the self-care activities would apply to different aspects of self-care. So there can be professional self-care or your work self-care. And a self-care activity that would apply to that would be having strict boundaries. I am not taking homework. If I can't complete it the day at work, it will wait until the other day. I'm not taking work home. And then there's physical self-care. You take a walk every day or you do exercise. And then there can be relationship self-care. You develop close, genuine connections with persons. So there's like many aspects of self-care and self-care activities that we can apply to it.
Yes, and I like that we're touching on all the different aspects here, this evening. And persons will learn so much, how they can learn to de-stress, how they can, take care of their own mental well-being. I want to focus a bit on academic stress. I know all of us would probably have to deal with, academics and balancing work and balancing other activities with academics and so on. And it can be really stressful, and some persons might not know how to deal with it, how to balance their life out, and it can be very overwhelming for them. They can go into depression, anxiety, and so on. So I want to discuss how persons, young adults, can balance themselves properly when it comes to this. Anicia, we can go with you first.
I think setting boundaries, time management really. Designating specific time frames to get tasks completed can create a great balance. I also think tapping into your support network or your support system. Realizing that you cannot do everything on your own and you do need help. If not, you will end up becoming overwhelmed, and we don't want that. So I think that those are two main strategies that we can use to create a work-study life balance.
Yes, and I think that is something I would have had to deal with, tapping into my support system when it came to academic, because, sometimes I would find it hard to, reach out for help with a specific assignment and so on, because I might think that, that person is busy, they would not have time to help me. But, persons, once you have that good support system, persons are going to be there to help you.
Yes, definitely.
What about you, Ellen?
Sometimes a lot of our academic stress as young people comes from procrastination, and we have to be really honest with ourselves
yes, I like
here.
that you brought this up.
We have 24 hours in a day, and if you receive an assignment, and sometimes I think the lectures at UG and across other universities are usually quite graceful. They give you about a week or 2 weeks in advance to submit, and then somehow the procrastination monkey takes control, and we don't start the project until 3 days before. And now we're arguing that we're stressed and we have everything else, but we sort of cause this on ourselves. So we need to firstly realize there are 24 hours in a day. Time block your activities in your day. Try to have a weekly schedule and the weekend schedule where you prioritize your work. And you mentioned something really important: balance, right? So while you are studying, you shouldn't study 24/7. You should try to be a well-rounded person. So try to dedicate specific time for studying and getting your UG assignments or other academic work in early on time. Start early. Don't wait until the last minute stressing on that so you don't stress out. Okay? And those are really important. So while you're trying to balance, and if you don't, that's okay. And if you don't balance, then you're on a pretty good path to becoming burnt out. And sometimes it could take you like a year to recover from burnt out. And we don't want you becoming burnt out. So it's really important. Take a pen, paper, sit down. Okay, you wake up at 7 a.m., you go to bed at 10 p.m. How much time do you spend at classes? What are the blocks that left you can fill in? Okay, so I have 10 to 11 free. Do I study here, or do I do laundry, or do I do something else? And when you're finished, you look at your schedule and you realize that sometimes you spend a lot of your time doing things that you shouldn't be doing.
Exactly.
And that could ease your academic stress.
That's right. Ackila?
Yes, back to what Helen was saying. Indeed, making a to-do list. Doing that to-do list, it really helps.
Scheduling, yeah.
Time management. I know a lot of times we have things a whole week prior and we wait till the night before and you have the 11:59 clock ticking and you try to get it done. So I definitely agree with Ellen and I support trying to get the work done, trying to stay on time. You have this today, next week you have to submit it. Please do your research early, get it done. Because what's the point of waiting till last minute? Then sometimes you provide very messy, you know, assignments that really will get you bad grades, and we don't want that.
It's the adrenaline rush.
Yes, so you try to.
Sometimes I've procrastinated, but I've enjoyed. So it can become addictive.
You put it honestly. For me, when I was at UT, I really think procrastination was life. Like, listen, I program better when I'm having a late assignment and you girl try. Like,
Yes,
I
I
have to
can
step
attest
back.
to
Like,
that.
this is not working. We lie to ourselves that, oh, yes, you work better when you're what? What they like to say? A lot of you say, oh, I work better when the assignment is under pressure. Yes. No, you don't. Because you're going to produce nonsense. And most times, when you get a bad grade, you're like, oh my God, I could have really sit down and, tap into this assignment, research properly. And especially if you are at university, you want to provide good information, good assignment. So I'm talking to myself here as well. Try your best to look at procrastination. Say, young man, young lady, please leave me alone. Get the work done early because you really want to get it done properly. You don't want to be submitting, mediocre work. We don't want that. So
Yes, and that can create stress.
yes, exactly. Creating stress, burnt out. Now you're there like, oh God, I'm fed up with UG. I'm tired of UG. You're bashing UG. No, you're doing bad at your time management.
Yes, I like that all these points are coming out, and persons watching the discussion would realize, but I didn't realize that was why I was so stressed. And there are a lot of potential negative coping mechanisms, or some young people might turn to like doing maybe drinking alcohol, smoking, or using other drugs and so on, that wouldn't be so healthy for them, and that can cause stress. And so can we just look at maybe what they can do in terms of turning to that and maybe looking towards something positive to deal with their stress?
So when people are usually stressed out and they don't have healthy coping mechanisms, so earlier we would have touched on what the healthy coping mechanisms are, but sometimes the reality is some people, and young people especially, who are easily influenced and who have been brought up in certain situations and circumstances, they have a very unhealthy coping mechanisms to deal with stress, and that includes drinking, smoking, partying all weekend, and then waiting until the last minute to get the assignment at 11:59. 11:59 seems to be a really interesting number in this room.
Yes.
But they really turn to some unhealthy coping mechanisms, and a good place to start is doing some self-introspection, recognizing that this is unhealthy for me, this isn't leading me on the path that I want to be. And sometimes you have to do a critical self-evaluation. Where do I want to be? Are these actions aiding me in the long run? It's detrimental to your health, because smoking, drinking, partying 24/7, sometimes all during the weekend, it takes a toll on your health as you become older. So even though you're in your 20s and you're really young now and you could handle it, it's going to show up maybe in your 30s, late 30s, 40s, and it's going to take a toll on your lifestyle and your health. Okay, so even while it may not be showing now, it's going to show in a few years from now. So think of self-preservation also. You want to feel good now, but the next 10, 20 years from now, you want to feel even better. Okay?
And what are your thoughts on this, Anicia?
I think how we can recognize when we are using negative coping mechanisms is that it feels good in the short term, but really we're just using it as a temporary distraction, and most times it makes you feel worn out in the long term, or it even increases your stress levels. So, and I think that they can replace that with healthy coping mechanisms by being disciplined, accepting that you have an issue here, that I partake in recreational drugs, or I overuse my prescribed medication when I feel stressed, and I need to actively make a change here. And And you would know that you are tapping into healthy coping mechanisms when it keeps you present in the moment. Also, like healthy coping mechanisms allows you to actively work towards your stressor. So an example of that can be developing strong bonds with persons that can help you to work towards a stressor because you have a support system, back to having a support system. And a negative coping mechanism can be you're driving really fast in the car. Some persons, when they're stressed, they speed a lot and they don't see a problem with it. Well, it's really just a temporary distraction from what's going on emotionally or mentally inside of you.
Yes, and Ackila.
I think, when you realize that, okay, with this recreational stuff or whatever you're doing, it's really tampering on your mental health or, your physical well-being, I think you need to look at, okay, why am I doing this? Is this helping me? Because I know many times you would know. You know when you're tapping into this negative coping mechanism because it's something that you don't normally would, you normally won't do that. So if you realize, okay, something I realize, overeating. That's very negative. You shouldn't be overeating. So sometimes, okay, you realize, okay, I'm overeating. I'm eating a specific food I'm not supposed to be eating. Now, if you know probably you're not supposed to be doing this, I come back to thinking that person should take a break, especially if this particular thing is stressing you in terms of academic. I am not advocating on that, but I would tell anyone, if you see that this is really taking a toll on you, ask for a break. It is okay.
Yeah.
It is okay. Take a break. If you gotta go and ask, can you please ask the lecturer, your teacher, whoever that person is, can you please give me a break on this? Ask for a break, some time off. There's no shame in that. I know a lot of times we feel so, prideful to ask for that time off. And when you don't ask for that time off, okay, that person is still looking forward for this. So if you ask for that time off, that person might be able to say, okay, this is bothering you, let me give you a time off. Because, okay, you don't get a time off, you don't want to ask for it, but then you go and indulge in these activities. And, especially young people, they tend to turn to drugs or alcohol. And
Especially.
you gotta realize who you're hanging around.
Yeah,
Especially if you see that there's a specific group of friends that every time you said, I want to go and drink alcohol,
say yes.
and they say yes, you need to change those friends. You need to change those friends because why are they helping you with that? Why are they engaging that with you? Especially knowing that you're going through a rough path at this time and they're not telling you, well, listen, you're not supposed to be doing this. So you gotta check around your environment, check and see who's there to help you out when you're tapping into this negative coping mechanism and see how best you can, help yourself with it. Sit down and talking to yourself helps. Having those pep talks, it helps you. So I think, you should definitely tap into yourself, pep talk, the persons around you and who help you go into this, taking part in this negative activity and drop them and try to side with individuals that would actually help you find positive coping mechanism that we mentioned earlier.
Tiana, I think you should also give yourself grace because as much as we can be judgmental up here and be like, oh, you drink and you should find new friends and drop all the friends and drop all these negative behaviors, sometimes some persons they're really troubled and stressed and they have a lot of challenges. And I think the best way you can go about making these changes is through small incremental changes. So you don't have to drop all of the friends today. You heard the the show and then you go drop all the friends and then you say, oh, I'm not going to party or drink anymore. And sometimes we don't have that strong discipline as humans, and so small changes helps. So what you can do is say, okay, if I drink or party every weekend, I'm not going to party next weekend. So now I only party twice a month instead of partying 4 times a month. And then for the second month, I'm going to give it a try, only party maybe once a month. Right. So small incremental changes because we want your behavior to be sustainable. We don't want you to make these drastic changes and then you go from having negative coping mechanisms to absolutely no coping mechanisms and you fall into depression and you become suicidal and you end up with a whole host of other problems, right? So incremental changes that lead to sustainability in your life.
Yes, I like that you brought that up. And you would have also mentioned earlier, Ellen, you spoke a bit on persons and they're uncertain, they become, when they think about their future and the uncertainty of that, that would stress them out. So, and we also live in a world where everything is, competitive, especially as young people. We would look, maybe a person might look at somebody else and be like, oh, they're at that point, why am I not? And they feel that, they should achieve more at this age or so on, because of that competitiveness, and then they would become stressed and they take a toll on their mental health and so on. So what advice would you give to a young person who's maybe thinking like that, Ackila?
I think you need to look at the fact that everyone comes from different background. Resources are not available to everyone the same way, and you for yourself, you should say, okay, try not to look at a person, achievements or whatever they may have, and think that you're less of a person. I know, yes, we do look on and look at our other friends and be like, oh, that person, they may already got their masters. Why am I still stuck here? But I think you should be able to sit and make your list of things that you would want, on your own path, on your own timing, and see how best you can achieve those. Because honestly, probably that individual, they had a good support system. They had their mother, their father, family, mentors that pour into them. You may not have that, and that is okay. But you try to see how best you can find your own little circle and persons around you, and go out there and, I always say make jottings of your life. Nothing is wrong with that, and nothing is wrong with where you at. Especially know your situation, because I can look at someone and say, oh, she's probably not where I am, or I'm not where she is, but we're living two different lives, and that is okay. What do I want for myself? So it comes back to what you want for yourself and what you envision for your life. And when you stick to it as, okay, this is what I want from me, not looking on to your other friends, I think it helps you a lot. It kind of, release a little burden off your shoulders, because if you look at your friend, probably your way on what you want, they don't want that. So sit and see. I know people say, oh, the 5-year plan. I don't know where I see myself in 5 years, but I'm a person. I sit and I write down where I want to see myself. I may not reach there, but still I write that down and I speak it into existence. Like, okay, by next week I want to do this. So nothing is wrong with that. You sit and you make jottings and you work towards that. And as we said earlier, finding individuals that will help you, give you positive remarks, positive resources, things that you can pour yourself into that will help you develop. Self-development helps. So I think you look at it on your own perspective and what you want is about you, self. Don't look at others, look at yourself. Where you want yourself. The person may have their little package there, but you can have yours too. But just look and see how you can develop that for your own self. So I think try to block out the noise and just focus on you. Okay, who I have around me that can help me. Okay, who can I turn to? So I think in looking at it on your own perspective, it helps.
Yes, I think you said it very well. So we're cutting down on time. So maybe if you would like to each briefly add on this.
Sure, I can go ahead. I know it's difficult to do, but as young adults, we should try our best to not focus on other people's lives and compare ourselves to them. I think we should have a mental shift and keep our eye on our own goals and our attention on the achievement of those goals. And I would also say, set realistic and attainable goals. A lot of times we set unrealistic goals, and that contributes to us feeling stressed. I would also say to compete, yes, but only with the past versions of yourself so that you can become the best version of yourself. And finally, be kind to yourself during the journey of pursuing your goals and dreams. You're doing the best you can, and reward yourself for that. Don't be hard on yourself.
Comparison is the thief of joy. Do not compare yourself. And it's easy to compare ourselves to other young people and our other counterparts because of social media. We're always scrolling TikTok and we see a young person who's a millionaire or a billionaire, but at our age, we're like, what? How? And here I am still struggling. So no, don't compare yourself. And a lot of people, they feel stress and tension thinking about the future when what they think they should be and what their current situation is does not align. And so you have to find the blueprint to find out and look at your life and evaluate, okay, this is my current situation and this is where I want to be in the future. How can I align these two effectively and I can no longer be stressed? So look at that, try to find the blueprint that matches your current situation. Don't look at someone else's blueprint. They're on a different path than you are, and do not compare yourself to other people.
Okay, great. Well said. So I want to thank each of you young ladies for taking the time out of your busy schedule to be a part of this discussion this afternoon. It was a very fruitful discussion. I learned a lot. I really enjoyed this afternoon's discussion. I must say it's probably one of the best discussions I've ever had. So thank you again, and I do look forward to maybe chatting with each of you again in the future on maybe another social issue that is plaguing young people especially. So I want to thank you. I also want to thank everyone for tuning in and listening and watching our discussion this afternoon. It's a ChildLinK discussion program where we discuss a number of social issues. Today we were looking at stress and mental well-being in young adults, and this discussion was a part of our Communities Responding in Emergencies project, which is funded by the Delegation of the European Union in Guyana. I am Tiana Jordan, and it was an honor being your host this evening. I do once again thank you for tuning in, and do enjoy the rest of your evening. Goodbye.